Welcome to Climb, a podcast designed for sales leaders looking to turn RevOps and RevTech into real growth drivers. Brought to you by SBI, this podcast features candid conversations between our host, Cliff Simon, and top go-to-market leaders. Each episode unpacks the strategies, challenges, and lessons that shape high-performing revenue teams, giving you actionable insights you can apply immediately to boost efficiency and scale smarter.
Hi, I'm Cliff Simon, and welcome to another episode of The Climb, where we walk through go-to-market tactics that are actually working today. Not the playbook of 18 months ago, not the playbook of 6 months ago, but the things that are actually working today. So we're bringing on sales leaders and go-to-market leaders to help share that knowledge. Today we've got Kevin Dorsey with us, more affectionately known as KD, and he's going to be dropping some knowledge, maybe some wiggle in there, who knows. Welcome.
Let's ride, baby. Let's go.
You ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
All right, well, I'll give you a softball. Tell me about what you're building over at Finally.
Oh man, I mean the vision has never changed. As long as I'm in an operator seat, I'm trying to build the best revenue org in the world. That's what I wake up and focus on doing every single day. And I'm blessed to have the sales team, the marketing team, CS team with me. And we're building, really the all-in-one platform for SMBs. I love SMB. I love working with business owners. And too often they've got this over here for accounting, this over here for payroll, this over here for their banking, and we're bringing it all into one form. So we do EOR, payroll, banking, accounting, bookkeeping, all of it in one place. So it's fun, man. It's going fast, and I love it. I enjoy every single day.
Yeah, what makes it so exciting?
I love to build. And like some people know my story. I got out of the game. I did the second unicorn. I went off into consulting land, got to do all that, and just didn't speak to me. I missed having a team. I missed really having my people. And so to have a team, to watch them grow, make more money, get the car they want, take the vacation, I still love that stuff. So as long as that fire is in there, I'm gonna ride it and see how long I can keep it lit.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. And one of the really interesting things about your team is that it's all in person, right?
Yeah, so my pretty much my entire sales org is in person every single day. So not even like a hybrid 3 in, 2 out. They're all in person every day.
5 days a week. That's awesome.
Still happens. People still do that. It's weird, I know.
2019?
Yeah, it's been a while since most people, but yeah.
All right, so what's that doing from an actual results perspective?
It's interesting. I would say most of the result increases we have seen, I would say, isn't so much that it's in person, it just happens faster, right? You can learn things faster in person. And I've done both. And this is something where people can fight about it all day long. In person, people do learn faster. They retain faster. The connection is quicker. The ideas are better. It's just harder to get everyone in person now. But so we can make a change and it happens like that. We can learn something and people can absorb it very, very quickly. Onboarding is so much faster in person, and so my team is on site and I'm out there 1 to 2 weeks a month and I'm out there and I'm walking the floor. I'm hearing things. I can spot check things and go, hey, what's happening over here? And it's been great. We have transformed some of those orgs and I'm coming up on my 1 year. And we have one team that's doing literally 3x what it was doing a year ago in production, 3x from fewer headcount.
When you talk about that production, 3x, what are you talking about? Are you talking about meetings booked? Are you talking about pipeline?
Oh, I'm talking about revenue, baby. No, I'm talking revenue.
After my heart.
All the leading indicators have improved as well to get to that revenue mark, right? So that one's almost a 3x. The second one is almost a 2x right now. From the same amount of headcount, right? The production has gone up because we've been able to install the systems and processes to make it work. And I think in person, it just happens faster. It just does.
All right, so tactically, let's talk through some of those systems and processes. What are those folks doing that over a 1 year period, they've been able to produce 3x? That's phenomenal, and that's what most people dream about, right?
So I'll start with the one I think almost everyone skips is my team's 3 times better now. So skill-wise first, the team is better. We rolled out better messaging, we rolled out better scripting, we rolled out better scorecards and measurement, right? So if you listen to the calls today compared to a year ago, even the reps, I love you, so we talk about this stuff. Even the reps would tell you the way we used to sell this, totally different, right? So we've really gone deep on problems and really gone deep on exposing that and really gone deep on educating, right? That we weren't doing before, right? So the skill level is better. And I talk about this with my team all the time. I'd rather have a team be 2 times better than 2 times bigger. Right? The team is smaller now too. We have fewer reps now and we're producing more revenue.
How big is the team?
So on the 3X team, that team is right around 16, 17 reps right now, and it was about 25, 26 about a year ago. So it's actually smaller now and producing 3 times the revenue. And we're not talking about like going from like 10K to 30K. Like we're talking like multiple zeros happening back there.
I think one of the interesting things about that is, I talk to tons and tons of companies, and everyone's always really eager to either add headcount or add technology, but they're not always so willing, especially like the last 18 months, to fix or drive enablement. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hearing here is, how do I get more out of the assets that I have today?
Truly, I think it's easier.
I would agree.
I've led teams of almost 200 people. Like that's harder than a 100-person team, which is harder than a 50-person team. If I can take a team of 20 and make them twice as good, it's also more efficient. Our CAC is improved. Our retention is amazing, right? Because reps are making more money. Like all those things add up.
I was gonna say, because another thing is you've got a team that's producing. Most of those people want to go get onto the next thing. Yeah. How do you keep them enthralled and happy?
Well, for most people, it's actually very few people burn out when they're like succeeding and continuing to improve, right? Like when someone stops progressing is when they feel like they need to progress, right? And I have some reps going through that right now. I mean, they're quite literally making 2 to 3 times more in commissions now than they were a year ago. But now they're starting to get into that difference between very good and great, where like you can be very good, and the difference between very good and great are like subtle things where you're like, like, do I really want to push there to get there? Right. And so those are all things that come up and show up. But like, my goal, and I say this to all my teams, like my goal is not to make my team a great finally salesperson. My goal is to make you a great salesperson. And eventually you may outgrow me. That will happen. There might be a role out there that I can't give you, but I'm gonna make sure you're ready for it. And you're gonna look back at your time with me and go like, all right, like that set me up here. I still get texts today from former reps, like, oh, like I hit here, like, oh, now I'm here. One of my reps just sent me the W-2 from last year, right? Like almost hit that $1 million mark as a seller, right? As one of my former reps that hired as an SDR 10 years ago. Like I still get those messages and I love it, just love it.
You're giving them the foundational skill set to be successful no matter where they go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really missing from a lot of organizations, right? They'll bring in someone that they expect to have a certain level of capability because they've done the thing, but then inevitably it falls apart because there aren't the systems and processes around that person to make them successful long term.
I believe most teams would be shocked what would happen if they really invested in skill development, like really invested in skill development for 6 months. I think they'd be shocked. Right? They'd be shocked how much better their teams could be with the same people, the same leads, the same systems, the same CRM, whatever, but your people are twice as good, changes everything.
So what does that look like from a day in the life, a week in the life? How much time and effort goes into making those people better? And lay that out like week by week.
I mean, a lot. So our reps practice almost daily. So we are heavy on practice, like almost daily for the most part. We're doing some type of practice repetition work around messaging, objection handling, persona work. So just like any skill. Any skill. Like I don't know if y'all can see in the background, we got tennis courts behind us here. Like people practice it all day long to get ready for the game. So practice is big. Also the definition of the wiggle, right? So WGLL, the wiggle, what good looks like. We've defined it. Like here is what a good call sounds like. Here's what good follow-up looks like. Here's what good lead handling looks like. So we have the wiggle. And then I press my managers hard on inspection. It's like, all right, here's what we expect. We have to inspect it, right? How are we scoring right now? How do these calls sound? What is our lead follow-up? And that's where I work with my managers a lot of are we inspecting? So we know where we actually have to get better. Then we track, right? We have all of our metrics. Our reps, they put in where their metrics are. They're putting in where their conversion rates are. They're putting in where their pipeline progression is. So they have an ownership in this as well. And then we do trainings. We have a training every single week, sometimes 2 times a week. I lead a leadership training every week or so for my managers and directors and VPs. So we invest heavily in that. We've read books together. So it's a lot, man. We invest a lot in it, right? To make sure. Oh, call reviews, right? We listen. Actually, I don't listen to many calls. I read calls. I don't listen to many calls anymore because I don't need to listen. Listen's for tone. I can read 10 calls in the same amount of time I can listen to one. So I don't think I listen to calls
anymore. I just ask on questions.
Yeah, I just read it because I can get the flow of the conversation. And we're going to get into this, but we've built some really cool AI stuff that's starting to show me what's really happening in these calls. And oh man, game changer.
So with those reps, they're doing this practice. How much of that time of their 40 hours a week is them getting driven on enablement and getting better?
Oh, I mean, I would say at least 10%. At least 10%. You think about an hour-long training, you're having a 30 to 40-minute one-on-one, there's always coaching in that, they're reviewing 2 to 3 calls per week, and they have dedicated practice time. It's probably at least 4 to 5 hours per week is dedicated to skill development.
That's a very significant amount of time, but you're seeing the results.
It works, right? I still don't understand why this is so prevalent in sales, that like people don't do this. There's literally no other like major talent people out there be like, you know what, yeah, like don't practice it. Like why would you do that? But then you
just
get to
show up and
sales.
throw up.
Yeah, getting into sales is like, oh no, just go figure it out. And it's like, well, that's dumb. Like it doesn't work that way, and it pays off, and it pays off quickly. I still think people think it takes too much time. That's always my combat when someone says, oh well, can't take them off the floor. Can't take them off the floor. I need them selling. And I always combat that. I was like, wait, so you want them to do more of the wrong thing? They're underperforming right now. It's like telling someone with a bad shot, you know what? Go shoot more in the game, because
Don't work on your mechanics.
Yeah, don't practice it. Don't do film review. Just go into the game and shoot more in the game. That's going to make you a better player. Doesn't work.
Yeah, that never works. Speaking of things that don't work, not everyone can be in person. So, you guys have a very unique situation there. It's incredible that you've been able to build it, but what advice would you give to folks listening that are in a remote or hybrid situation?
That systems are even more important. You can get away with certain things in person that sometimes you can't remote. Like, because you're right there, you can spot things. But like if you're remote, you have to have the systems. That's why the 4Ds are so important, even for remote, right? So like we talk about the wiggle, what good looks like, then the 4Ds, define, document, demonstrate, and deliberately practice. Most orgs don't have those things. And so if you don't have what good looks like and the 4Ds, remote's even harder. Because like people aren't hearing things. There's not that over the shoulder work. There's not that quick adjustments, right? People could do 2 bad calls in a day. You have no idea right around it. So the systems are even more important remotely. Proactive recognition is even more important remotely. And I'll say really that proactive inspection, like what's actually happening on these calls? What's actually happening in the email follow-up? What's actually happening in these proposals? You need to see it. You have to look for it more there. And I'll say lastly, you have to invest more time in enablement, even more, because the retention is not the same. That people, it's the only metric.
Is it more optionality or?
It's attention and it's intention, right? If we know damn well, if this was a virtual interview, who knows what's on my screen right now? Like I'm listening, but I could also have Slack over there, and I could have my chat open over there to pay attention. But also too, what they've shown with even some of like the researching, our mirror neurons don't light up the same in terms of face-to-face versus over a Zoom call. Because on a Zoom call, the face is this big. You also can't see people's hands. There's a different level of trust. The retention isn't good. It's the only metric. So I've led big teams remote. I led big teams in person. The only metric I could never get back to its original place or above remote was ramp time.
I mean, that totally makes sense, right? It's the water cooler effect, or the ability to hear the call that someone is having next to you.
Right.
It's that organic.
You're immersed in it. You hear it. And I think there's also a lot of around the positive connections. You hear a good call that inspires you to have a good call.
Whereas it happens like that instead of getting back to a weekly call where, hey, can you share that one thing that you did well?
Right. And like, it's the only metric I couldn't get back. And like, I'll say this, people will get what I mean. I'm not trying to be a monster. And that's me. I invest a lot in these things. I put all the effort into like training into it. I mean, SDRs added almost 2 months, AEs added almost 2 months. I could never get it back to where it was. And so you have to invest even more remotely. And I think the flaw, and I tried this myself, is like people are like, oh, well, if I go remote, I can just go get better people. Well, maybe I don't have to train as much because I can just go get the best everywhere. It doesn't work that way. Just because someone was the best somewhere else does not mean they're going to be the best for you. You still have to coach them up and train them, and I don't think people invest enough in it. I really don't.
So how much more do you think you need to invest in a remote environment? Now, you're saying you're doing 10% of a work week is invested in sales training enablement for your ICs.
Yeah. I mean, get to 10%. I'm gonna look right into the camera right now. Most of y'all are doing not even close to that. Your team is lucky if they're getting an hour a week of actual development, let alone 4 to 5, right? So first is get to 10%, but your repetition has to go up. So the forgetting curve, right? So forgetting curve, you have to learn it, get away from it, come back to it. It's even more importantly remote. Like you have to teach something, get away from it, come back to it. So anything you led a training on 2 months ago, repeat it. come back to it more often. That would be my biggest tip, remote-wise, in terms of learning, is people don't come back to it. I ask this question all the time. It's like, and I'll be training 100 managers, like, hey, who here led a kick-ass training recently? And I was like, hey, it's like, cool, when's the last time you did it? They're like, 3 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. It's like, do you think they remember any of it? Come back to it. That would be my biggest additional tip.
It's funny, you talk about the 4 Ds. You know, we talk to all these companies and see what's going on under the hood, right? Not what's put out there in social media, or not what you feed the investor or whatever. It's wild how many companies don't have define done.
No. They've never defined it. Like, I could walk into so many orgs right now that optically from the outside look amazing. I go, what's a good discovery call look like? And I would get 50 different answers. They've never actually defined it. And there's this over compensation in sales that people are too afraid of structure, right? That if I structure it.
But it's an art.
It's an art, right? And it's like, I always love that analogy, because if people understood how much science went into art.
And time and practice.
Okay, and practice, they would get, right? Like, oh wow, like we need to apply the same principles here. There's certain colors that go together, certain angles that go together, certain patterns that go together. Like, there's science behind the art, right? And people just, they are too afraid of structuring, which actually makes things harder on their people, because structure is only bad if it's the wrong structure. If it's what works and works well, you owe it to your people to define that structure and hold people to it. Like, that's what we're here for. So that's where I spend a lot of time. And like, the what good looks like evolves. We hear new things, we learn new things, it evolves, it keeps changing, because what works today is different than what worked a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, agreed.
Good.
It's hard not to. I mean, you're talking sense.
I try to,
Yeah. So you've been an IC, you've been a frontline manager, you've been a VP, CRO. Why, I mean, you've seen a lot, right? But why do your peers keep doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results, right? We know you, in our minds, we know we have to go out and practice. We know we need to drive better enablement. But why? It feels very pervasive across our industry that people don't focus on this.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons behind it. I think especially recency. There was a good 3-year stretch where you didn't have to. Like, if we're being honest, there was a stretch in SaaS where and it created a group of monsters where it's like they believed their playbook did work, when in reality the money was free. They were selling to people that had all the money, and they were able just to invest all the headcount in the world, and so it worked. And in sales and sales leadership, our favorite number is 1. If it works once, that's it. That's it. Right? It works one time.
No 3 to 4? No 5?
Works one time, and they'll go run the same playbook time and time again. So there was a period of time where a lot of, I'll say, newer leaders came up where they could get away with it a little bit, and it didn't matter as much. And so that created that element there. The second is, truthfully, a lot of VPs, I don't think they feel like they have the time to do it. The pressure from investors and the board and the VC, it's actually hilarious. So if you think about a football coach or a basketball coach, if they take over a losing program, they're not expected to turn that around in one season. In fact, they're given 2 to 3 years to turn it around. When you're hired as a VP or CRO, and especially if you're taking over an org, generally speaking, you're taking over an org because it wasn't performing well, and you're expected to turn it around in 3 to 6 months, right?
Yeah, because if you don't, you're not going to be trending to hit your number, and you're out in 17 to 18.
So when people feel pressured, all they're going to do is push. That's it. They're not going to slow down enough to try to develop their people, so they just get away from it. And the third, man, it's like most of us are never taught, right? Like I can't remember the name of the. It's like a law or a theorem of you teach the way you were taught. Can't remember it. Google it. I can't remember what it's called. It's like you teach the way you were taught. How much training did you have coming up in the game? Like, how much coaching did most VPs get? They didn't get any, so they don't think to do it either. It's a paradigm shift that we have to make here. So I think that's it. And then honestly, they just keep moving to the next one, the next one, and the next one. And sellers, VPs especially, they're great at selling. They're great at selling. There's a whole boatload of consultants out there that never really succeeded in their job, but now they're consulting other people because they know how to sell the story behind it.
Sure.
It's just wild to me. So I think that's it, man. It's a combination of a lot of factors, but we've gotten away from some of the classics, the IBMs, the Oracles, right? People forget you went through a university there. Even
Yeah.
the FedExes, the UPSs, like they,
100%.
they trained the hell out of the people. Then you got into leadership, they sent you back to the campus. You had to go to like a management campus to learn, and then they sent you back out into the field. We got away from all of that because of speed. I think that's what's ruined most of it is like, I've made the joke that like SaaS is too addicted to speed. Like everything has to happen too fast, and when it happens too fast, you get away from the foundational things that actually do work because you're not willing to take the time to do them.
It's so interesting because, early in my career, I started at a very large company. I was at a Fortune 20 with Verizon, and training was a month.
Right, a
On
month.
site.
On site, look at that, on site, a month. Right, and now most sales
And it got broken up a little bit so you could get back. You could try apply it in the field.
and then come back.
I could forget a little bit of it.
Forgetting curve.
But I could also go out and get context from the field and then bring it back and go through the classroom again, right?
Yep. Not anymore. People get these new SDRs and new AEs, and they give them 3 days of like onboarding, and then put them on the phones and say, figure it out.
Man, even in 2014, I was working for a company. They took me to Chicago for a month for onboarding. Like,
We've gotten away from it. We've gotten away from it, and it'll be interesting to see if we ever get back. To be honest, I don't know if we do or not, especially with where things are going with AI and everything else. It'll be very interesting to watch. Very interesting to watch.
You've been listening to SBI's Climb podcast with Cliff Simon hosting. Visit SBI Growth to read SBI's latest research, join upcoming events, or learn more about SBI's go-to-market services. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and connect with us on LinkedIn.